ఎన్ని ఉత్తరాలు వచ్చేవో, ఆయన ఎన్ని సమాధానాలు చెప్పేవారు. ఆయన శాఖకు కాని వాటి విషయంలో కూడా, ఆయన శాఖకు కానప్పుడు అది ఆ ఉత్తరాన్ని వేరే శాఖకు పంపించి, ఏ శాఖకు సంబంధించిందో వాళ్ళకి పంపించి అది కనుక్కొని సమాధానం ఇచ్చేవారు. ఇది ఎవరు చేస్తారు? అట్లాగే ఇంకొక ప్రధానమైన అంశం జగ్జీవన్ రామ్ గారి జీవితంలో నేను చూసింది ఏమిటి అని అంటే, వ్యవస్థలో ఉండే వ్యవస్థని మార్చే ప్రయత్నం చేయడం. వ్యవస్థ మనకి నచ్చనప్పుడు వ్యవస్థతో పోరాడతాం. వ్యవస్థని మంసని చేసి కొత్త వ్యవస్థను నిర్మించే ప్రయత్నాలు కూడా ఎన్నో జరిగాయి మన దేశంలోని. ఈ
publisher of this, I think, very wonderful book. I'd like to thank him. I'd like to thank the Memoir and Lakshmaya Garu, Ramachandramurthy Garu, Professor V. Krishna Garu, and of course who's invited me here, and the co-translator Anand Babu, the translator, the main translator of this book. I'm delighted to meet Chandrasekhar Reddy ji. Thank you for being here and for translating a large part of this wonderful book. It's great to be here in the presence of such distinguished academics and journalists. Thank you all for coming here. I would certainly indebted for this Telugu translation of my grandmother Srimati Indrani Devi's book, and it's a fine book, a fine cover indeed, and I'm very happy that it's been released here. The benefit of my grandmother's writings will now reach out to many corners of India, particularly in this region. My grandmother, Srimati Indrani Devi, was a very remarkable woman, a very remarkable lady who lived her life with great dignity and poise and grace. Usually they say, behind every great man is a woman. I don't like this phrase because I find it very patronizing. I think that my grandmother Indrani Devi ji stood with my grandfather throughout his life. She was a force with him, with his struggles, throughout his journey, throughout his ups and downs, throughout his remarkable life. And we get a glimpse of that every time we open the pages of this book. So, she was not only proud to be associated with my grandfather, Babu Jagjivan Ram, but also she was very, very proud to be a part of history. You can see it in the words of this book. A history that saw, first of all, colonialism, British colonialism, kind of caste discrimination that happened a century back. Things may have changed, many things haven't, but a century back the nature of caste discrimination was unimaginable. Then she saw the birth of New India, political sovereignty. They moved from Patna to Delhi, the setting up of ministries, my grandfather's success as a minister, the ups and downs of that. The 71 war, the drama of the 71 war and our unprecedented success. My grandmother went with my grandfather to the corners, to the borders of India, with him by his side, inspiring our Jawans to fight for a cause. And that was remarkable, and she went with them. Then of course there was emergency that was referred to, the ups and downs of emergency, the Janata government, and later on, in the evening of my grandfather's life as well. It was a remarkable journey and she was with him. So in this book you get not only a glimpse of that journey, but also details about her own life, and that is quite remarkable. So I'm glad we're talking about my grandmother. My grandfather, of course, we know what it is, but through the filters of my grandmother, we get to know a perspective on 20th century history, and I think that is remarkable. So my grandfather's life was of course mentioned, but her own life, her birth in Kanpur, her family, her marriage, her moving to Patna, how she dealt with the freedom movement, the fears of getting arrested of my grandfather, how she dealt with that, living in Patna, moving to Delhi, the struggles, the trials, the tribulations was all felt by her, and this is palpable in this book. Also, you find details and anecdotes of my grandfather's life. When he lived as a child in Chandwa, the discrimination he saw in his town school, a very famous anecdote when there were two pots that were kept in his town school, and then for one from the upper caste, the other for the rest, and he broke them. And numerous other anecdotes which are little known and which my grandmother has brought into the domain of history, not just of the public, but the domain of history as she moved along in life. So I won't take much of your time. I'm extremely proud that this book has come out. As Professor Vijay Kumar was saying, that it's really important that archives are written, that memories are penned down, so that history is far more enriched, and that stories, that remarkable stories, do not get lost in what is the tide of time and of history without getting noticed and without getting recorded. So with this effort, I think that this remarkable story of both my grandmother and my grandfather is going to reach a new audience who perhaps will get inspired and perhaps do more research and then know a lot more about what happened in that remarkable time, which is 20th century India. Thank you very much.
కొంతమంది పాత్ర మాత్రమే బలంగా ఉంటుంది. అటువంటి వారిలో జగ్జీవన్ రామ్ గారు స్వాతంత్రానికి పూర్వం, స్వాతంత్రం తర్వాత కూడా ఒక రాజకీయ జీవితాన్ని కంటిన్యూగా నడిపి వివిధ సందర్భాల్లో ఒక ప్రముఖ పాత్రను పోషించడం మనం జగ్జీవన్ రామ్ గారి జీవితంలో చూస్తాం. ఆ విధంగా ఆ వరి కానీ, గోధుమ కానీ, ఇంటి పంటలు, చేతికి సంబంధించిన పంటలు కావలసినంత స్థాయిలో పెరగట్లేదు. అప్పుడే అమెరికా నుంచి, ఇతర దేశాల నుంచి మనం సహాయాన్ని అందించాం, అనేక దాని పద్ధతిలో చేసుకున్నాం. ఆ ఒక క్లిష్టమైన సందర్భంలో ఒక చాలా క్రూషియల్ టైంలో మనం బాబు జగ్జీవన్ రామ్ గారు ఆహార శాఖ మంత్రిగా, వ్యవసాయ శాఖ మంత్రిగా భారతదేశ అభివృద్ధిలో అత్యంత ముఖ్యమైన, ఇప్పుడైతే మనం ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ టెక్నాలజీ విప్లవం అనుకుంటున్నామో, పారిశ్రామిక విప్లవం అనుకుంటున్నామో, భారతదేశ చరిత్రలో గ్రీన్ రెవల్యూషన్ ఏదైతే అనుకుంటున్నామో, ఆ గ్రీన్ రెవల్యూషన్ ను ప్రారంభించి సక్సెస్ చేసిన ఘనత బాబు జగ్జీవన్ రామ్ గారు. ఎందుకంటే దేశాన్ని కష్టాల్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు గట్టెక్కించడం అనేది దళితుల జీవితాల్లో ఒక ప్రధానమైన అంశం, ప్రతి చోట జరిగేది. దానికి ఉదాహరణగానే భారతదేశంలో కాదు, ఎక్కడైనా ఏ రాష్ట్రంలోనైనా వ్యవసాయం అభివృద్ధి చెందడానికి కావాల్సిన వస్తువుల్ని, చెరువుల్ని నిర్మాణం చేసిచ్చింది, తోలు వస్తువుల్ని చేసిచ్చింది దళిత జాతి. పారిశ్రామిక విప్లవానికి పునాది అయిన గనుల్ని, రైల్వేల్ని స్థాపించి అందులో ప్రాణాలను తెగించి ఉద్యోగాలు చేసింది దళితులే. మళ్ళీ ఆహార సమస్య వచ్చినప్పుడు భారతదేశానికి మంత్రిగా ఉండి గట్టెక్కించింది కూడా ఒక దళిత నాయకుడు కావడం అనేది గర్వించదగిన విషయం. ఆయన చాలా స్పష్టంగా చెప్పాడు. ఆయన ఆహార మంత్రిగా ఉన్న ఆయన నినాదం ఏంటంటే అధికారం పండించాడు. దానికి ఒక 4-5 అంశాలను ఆయన తీసుకున్నాడు. ఒకటి, అనుగుణమైన భూమి చట్టాలను కూడా తీసుకొచ్చాడు. ఆ తర్వాత రైతులందరూ అనుసరించాల్సిన పంటల విధానాన్ని తీసుకొచ్చాడు. తర్వాత ఎవరైతే వ్యవసాయం చేస్తారో వాడి చేతుల్లో భూమి ఉండాలని చెప్పాడు. వ్యవసాయం చేసేవాడికి కాకుండా నేను 100 ఎకరాలు
అనేక సందర్భాల్లో ఉడంబడికలు చేసుకున్నాడు, అధికారం చుట్టూ ఉన్నాడు అనే వస్తా ఉన్నాడు. అది ఒక రకంగా మన అల్ప పరిజ్ఞానాన్ని ముందర పెట్టుకోవడమే కానీ జగ్జీవన్ అంబేద్కర్ 2 కళ్ళలు అంటాం. మనిషికి ఉండే 2 కళ్ళలు. ఒక కన్నుని పడుకోవడం కానీ, ఇంకొక కన్నుని భద్రపరచుకోవడం కానీ ఇద్దరు ప్రపంచంలో సాధ్యపడదు. ఒకే చూపు. ఆ చూపు ఏంటి? స్వాతంత్ర పోరాట కాలం, స్వాతంత్రం కావాలి.
Coming to Telangana, and earlier undivided Andhra Pradesh, since I was a little baby. I used to come with my parents and meet leaders. And today, now after so many years, I see the children and the grandchildren of all those people who used to be very fond of my father and mother. So I wish you all very, very best. I have a strong bond of 2 generations. And now, with my son present here, I have a strong bond of 3 generations with all of you. And I'm so proud and so fortunate. Stalwarts of the print media, of the electronic media are present here with their vast experience and their knowledge. They are the 4th pillar of our till I think the end of 19th century. There was no press and media. Only history was either recorded or passed on from one generation to other orally. Most of the time, history was written at the behest of those who was biased. But with the coming of the press into existence, the history that gets recorded now is free and unbiased. And we always want a society and a country where there is freedom of speech and freedom of expression, so that we get to know what is the essence of humanity without it getting colored. I'm so thankful to Shri Vijay Kumarji. He has taken so much pain. I was wondering why are you not sitting at the stage? Please, there is a chair. Please take the chair. Please take the chair. And it is because of his effort that this book has been very handsome, very good book has been published. And I am so grateful to, yes, this book is so well thought out, so beautiful, it's dignified, and I'm so grateful. I don't have words to express my deep gratitude to Shri Chandrasekhar Reddy ji, who has translated this book from English to Telugu, and Dr. Anand Babu is a scholar and he is an expert on disaster management. But apart from that, he is a true standard bearer of Babuji's great legacy. He spares no effort, and he is completely fearless in projecting Babuji's ideas, his life, so that it can inspire the people. I am grateful to you, Anand. My mother, like any mother to a child, was a mother to me. she showered affection on me. Every day she was very meticulous. She had a register. Every day she will write in the register what is the budget, how much budget she has to buy the vegetables, the things for the kitchen, running the kitchen, how much she had cows, how much for the cows, she had dogs, how much for the dogs, she had a garden, how much for the flowers, how much for the madi, how much for the staff, every single penny she would write in the register. When I grew up, actually I was leaving for Spain. I was in the foreign service. Then I saw my mother. She didn't have a desk like we all have a desk. She sit at the desk and write. She would sit on her bed and get the paper and write. I saw that she was not writing in the register. Then what is my mother writing? Then I realized that she had old newspapers, she had old letters which she had preserved for 20, 30, 40 years. She had old photographs and she was writing, bending on the bed and writing in her long hand. She had very beautiful handwriting. She was writing. I didn't ask her. Sometimes she would smile. Sometimes there would be tears in her eyes. Sometimes her face would be very strict. Sometimes there would be affection. I didn't ask her. I said, let me guess what she's writing. And I was right. I said, my mother is writing her memoirs. She's writing her life history. And together with her own life history is entwined the life history of my father. So she's writing her autobiography and she's writing my father's biography. Not only that, she's writing the history of India. She's writing the political upheaval of India, starting from the first decade of the last century till 2-3 decades after freedom. She was writing about the freedom struggle. She was writing how social churning was taking place in our country. How those who are at the receiving end of the caste system were struggling to come up and demand their place under the sun for their right and for their dignity. She was writing that. She had experienced it. She was not imagining. It was not a story or a novel. She had gone through all that. In Banaras, my father had faced untouchability. My mother studied in Lucknow hostel. She faced untouchability. My father overcame it. In Lucknow, she overcame it. How she felt, what she felt, she wrote all that. So it was social history. It was political history. It was economic history. All that she was writing about, what she had faced, and also culture. So she was writing this. I'm proud to have a mother who could be so sensitive and then also express it in letters and words. Not for herself, not just for her children, for the many, many children who called her mother, who called her mom, who called her husband Babuji. She wrote this book not just for us, she has written it for the generations of India, and not just for India. Let me tell you, this book you cannot confine just to India. This book is also able to inspire all those who are struggling in the world, economically, socially, politically. The context may be different, their style may be different, but the essence is the same. She wrote 6 volumes. 3 volumes, it was called Dekhi Suni Biti Baat. What you've seen, what you've heard, and what has happened. Now, she wrote 6 volumes of Dekhi Suni Biti Baat. 3 volumes were abridged in English by Penguin and was called Milestones, a Memoir. Now, this is the Telugu translation of those 3 abridged volumes which were translated into English by Penguin. 3 volumes are left. Vijay Kumarji, 3 volumes are still left. So your work is still not done.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
So those 3 volumes talk of it. Pre-emergency days, emergency days, and thereafter. I know sometimes people get very excited when they hear of this word, but she has a different angle. When you read that book, you will realize. So far as my father is concerned, I want to tell you 3 things about him. 3 things which are meant for all times. It is for all times. Firstly, freedom of a country. Country can never be under anyone's rule, because not only your resources get depleted and fleeced, but also mentally you get enslaved. You are demoralized. You become a subhuman being if you are under a foreign rule. So it is very important to have the freedom of sovereignty of your country. My father, when there was a decision to be taken, whether you are in the British or whether you are going to suffer in their jail, I am so glad that he took the decision to suffer in their jail and to fight them and tell them to leave the country. I am glad that he was a freedom fighter. And whenever there is problem in our country, we have to always opt for the freedom of our country and be ready to suffer for it. That is the message he has given, his life has given. Second message is, but there is so much. After freedom, you have the Constitution. Constitution tells you what to do, how to rule. But there can be no Constitution if the country is not free, and the country can never be free unless there are freedom fighters. So the important thing is to be a freedom fighter. Second is national security. National security is very important, because if your borders get nibbled away. If some other country comes to rule, then your resources get depleted. In 1971 war, he has inspired us how to keep your national security intact. In the last 52 years since 1971 war, Pakistan has blamed us for so many things, but it can never blame us that in 1971 war, any of our civilians, our women, our old people, our children were ill-treated by our Jawans. It can never blame us that in that war, the Indian army destroyed their crops in the field. It can never blame us that their infrastructure, their public buildings, or any building was bombed. They have never blamed us that 93,000 of their soldiers were prisoners of war in India, and even a single prisoner was ever tortured. They cannot blame us. It was a classic war, but the war that keeps your integrity, your sovereignty of the country intact. That is the inspiration we get from his life. Second is, even if your borders are safe, if you don't have food to eat, people are going to die. So food security is very important for any country. We were an food importing country. We were dependent on others to give us food. We didn't have food security. We brought the Green Revolution. And from food importing country, we became food exporting country. We got food security, national security, freedom of the country, national security, food security is the message that he has left behind for us to follow, and follow with all our strength and our might. I'm so happy that you have such a wonderful function. I love Telangana. I can't tell you. I can speak Telugu. I can understand Telugu, but not perfect Telugu. So I don't speak. I speak in English, for which I want to be forgiven. But I wish you a very long life, excellent health, more than 100 years of life, because you have to do so much, and excellent health, and all the happiness in the world. Thank you.